Hey, hello friends, welcome to my channel. In this Azure DevOps tutorial series, today let's discuss about what is retrospectives in Azure boards. Alright, so let's try to look at a very basic definition about retrospective. A retrospective is any time your team reflects on the past to improve the future. Between technical and non-technical teams, you can retro just on anything, right? So in general, if I have to explain retrospective to anyone, so a retrospective is an action or an activity where you look at the past and try to see what are the things you can improve for a better future. All right, so that's what retrospective in general means. In this particular video, we'll focus on why do we need retrospective, what is the necessary of retrospective, and what is a retrospective meeting, and we'll see a quick demo on the Azure DevOps sites about how actual retrospective runs in the real-time project world. All right. So next we'll discuss about why to run a retrospective. Okay, let's look at one of the principles. Basically one of the last of the last of the 12 principle in the agile development. Right, so what it says is at regular intervals the team reflects on how to become more effective, then tunes and adjusts its behavior accordingly. Okay, so the more your team meets, the improvement on the project will be always high. Right, so whenever you interact with your team regularly, obviously you will indulge in understanding what's happening around the project and what kind of improvements you can make. So that's what Agile Manifesto generally says. In order to best live the Agile values, teams should meet regularly to check in and make adjustment. Most commonly, development teams apply this principle by hosting regular retrospective meetings. Right, so basically, if you have a team, you should regularly meet up with the team to understand what's actually happening in the projects, what happened in the previous iteration, how can we improve, and what are the things which went well, what are the things which did not go well. So these and all are the things you generally discuss in a retrospective. Let's see those with an example later. Right, so what is a retrospective meeting? Okay, retrospectives are an excellent opportunity for your agile team to evaluate itself and create a plan to address the areas of improvement for the future. As I said earlier, you generally try to sit in a retrospective meeting and understand what went well and what did not go well, what are the things to improve in the future. Okay, the retrospective embraces the ideal of continuous improvement and protects against the pitfalls of the complacency by stepping outside the work cycle to reflect on the past. Right, so the purpose of retrospective meeting is to evaluate how the last sprint or last iteration or last work item went, specifically around the team dynamics and process and tools. Okay, so what you generally do in a retrospective is you will look at the recent iteration, all right, or the last sprint. Okay, and try to understand what are the work items in the sprint, what went well there, what are the things that you could have done better. So those kind of discussions is what generally happen in the retrospective meeting. Articulate and stack rank the items that went well and those items that did not went well. All right, create and implement a plan for improving the way the team does work. Okay, so there are a lot of things that will happen around a retrospective meeting, but these are the key points that you need to um, concentrate whenever you walk into a retrospective meeting. So in a retrospective meeting, you mainly discuss on the iteration, last sprint or the iteration, and try to understand what things went well and what did not go well and what are the things to improve. And that's what I am articulating in the second point as well. And finally, you will create a plan to um, you'll create a plan to see how you can improve on the things in the future. Okay, that's what you generally do in a retrospective meeting. Right, so these retrospective meetings generally happen at the last of the sprint. Like say you are working on a 2 week sprint project, and usually retrospective happens at the last day of the project. Sometimes it might happen one day before the last day. All right, so during that time you will try to sit and understand. You will sit with the team and try to understand what went well and what did not go well. There will be usually generally scrum master will lead the retrospective in most teams, but some teams project lead or your project manager might even run the retrospection. But as a best practice, what Agile Manifesto says is it's always better to bring someone outside of your project to run the retrospective, because they will actually be a neutral person, so that you can provide your valid points and they can look at a different angle, so that they can bring much more value to the project. Okay, that's one of the recommendation or best practice that Agile Manifesto always emphasize on. All right, so now let's go to our Azure board site and Azure DevOps site, and let's see where can we see retrospective and how can I create a retrospective board and so on. All right, so let me go to my Azure DevOps site. Here I have I will go into my project which I've been using for the demo purpose, project online DevOps demo. Once I go into the project, you can see under boards we have a lot of options like work items, boards, backlogs, sprints, queues, delivery plans. If you look at this one, you do not have something called retrospective. Okay, so generally retrospective will come under this boards only. So this means that you do not have the right plugins, that is extensions, that is installed under Azure boards. So what you need to do is you need to go to your marketplace. My Azure marketplace loads. So from there you need to look for the retrospective extension. Okay, so marketplace is the area where you will look for all your extension for your Azure DevOps. So retrospection, let me search it. Retrospect, I'm looking at retrospectives actually. So yeah, you can get it for free. So you can look at the retrospective under the marketplace and try to install this extension. So currently it is loading, just give it a second. So where do I want to install is something I'm giving here. So I'm just selecting the DevOps organization, so it's right under here, and I'm gonna just install it. All right, now I'm all set. Now I'll go to the organization. Now if I go into my actual project online DevOps demo, now you can see there is a new item called retrospective here. All right, so under Azure boards you have something called retrospectives. So let's give a moment for my retrospective page to load. All right, now I'm all set. So first I will start by creating a board. Before that you need to ensure that you have selected the right team here. Okay, so project online DevOps demo is the team that I'm working on, right? So make sure you are selecting the right team before retrospective, because this is something I've seen many people miss. Whenever you come under a same portfolio, there will be multiple teams working within a portfolio where they will use a same project or a same organization. Some people might not note this project drop down and right away create a board, but which will actually create it under a different team. So it's always important to double check the project that you are working across. All right, so you select your right kind of project here and then create a board. All right, so you need to give a title for your retrospective. Say I will give it as sprint 1 retrospection. Right, so there is a field for maximum votes per user. Okay, so you can increase or decrease this votes. By default it is 5. Based on your project's project nature or based on your Scrum Master expectation, you can increase or decrease the number of votes present per user. Okay, so for now I will have it as 3. All right, I will tell you what is the use of the votes once we create the board. Okay, once this is done, you can see I have a template, default template here, which says what went well, what did not go well. You also have options to select a template, like for example, if I select 4else, so 4else means liked, learned, lacked, longed for. Okay, so this is a template we have. And if I select good bad ideas, it says good bad ideas. And what else? Start, stop, continue, what to start, what to stop, what to continue. So there are a lot of templates here, so you can select a right kind of template that is very suitable for your project and work on it accordingly. For now I am just leaving it to a default template where I am focusing on what went well and what didn't go well, and maybe I will add a new column to tell things to improve. All right, so now I'm saving this. All right, here you go. So this is what this is how a sample retrospection board will look like. This is, I do not have any items in here, but this is a very blank and the very first stage of how your retrospective board will look like. All right, so you can see I have 3 items which I selected from the default template: what went well, what didn't go well, and things to improve. So this comes under collect tab. Right, so what generally happens is, okay, say this is a sprint 1 retrospection, right? So what we'll do is, say you are working on a 2-week sprint. So generally what teams do is they will come and sit at the last day of the sprint, or maybe one day before the sprint ends. Okay, so they will try to understand or see what are the items that they have worked on the last sprint, and they will try to bring up few points. They will prepare and bring up few points for the retrospective meeting. For example, what went well, so they will document few items, say team collaboration. So and maybe product release, say the product release went well. So this is another item that they have documented under what went well. What didn't go well, so obviously team has some concerns and they want to share the views on what didn't go well. So say for example, some people feel that there is some problem with the estimation, they have to rework on estimation, means they will just put points like estimation. And I'll add another one, say some other person will input as estimation can be improved. Okay, so basically this board is not for a single person, it's common for the entire team, so everyone can create their own item. Okay, so for now, since I am showing you demo, it's all under my name, but whatever, whoever creates a feedback here, it will be included in this particular category. All right, and I want to show you another concept where you can group similar kind of ideas. Say person A has given this point and person B has given this point, so this comes under a same category, right? So when you want to discuss on few items, you do not want to discuss on each and every item, what you can do is you can group the all right, how do you group this? Oh yeah, here it is. I need to go to the group tab and then I need to group this. So this is under estimation, right? Say estimation, so probably I will create a group under estimation where I can group similar kind of ideas. See, if I go here, I can see the details here. but I have grouped this under same category. Okay, so whenever you are discussing in real time, whenever you have a large team like 10 or 15 member team, and most of the people have given some problems around estimation, so you do not want to go to each and every pointers to understand, to discuss about all the problems, right? So you can group it under a single item and maybe have it as a single talking point for your retrospection, right? So here it is. This is what we can see under groups. Switching back to my collect, say things to improve, say um, more product releases in more product releases in short term. All right, so uh, say team is now doing a monthly release, but due to the speed of market trend, so team is planning to do more frequent releases so that the latest product is available in the market in a shorter term. Say they want to do a 2 week release, maybe they want to do a weekly release. Okay, so that is something, a point to improve. It's not like it is not happening, it's already happening, but this is a definitely a point to improve. Okay, so similarly you can document it according to your project. All right, so this is how a sample retrospection board will be look like once it is created. All right, so each and every team member will provide their inputs here. They will create their own items and will have it ready before the retrospective meeting. Few teams will even create retrospect points even earlier before starting retrospection, because they want to spend more time on discussing. Few teams, what they do is once they start the retrospection, they will start inputting all the details. Okay, so this is how this collect tab will look like. And we already looked at the group tab where you will group similar kind of ideas. And next we have something called vote. Okay, so vote is the why do we need votes is because whenever you're working with a larger team, say like 15 to 20 member team, obviously there will be lot of retrospective items that will be inputted here, like say like 100 to 120 for example. Let's say the number is quite huge, right? It is practically not possible for you to discuss all these pointers within 1 or 2 hours which is planned for the retro. So what you generally do is each team member take a vote and they will try to discuss on the items which is more which has more votes. All right, so for example, say I want to discuss on this estimation part. Okay, so what I would do is I'm going to vote here, so my vote is recorded, right? And I'm giving another vote too. So maximum vote that can be used is 3, right? So I'm giving my maximum priority to this particular part, and I'm going to give another vote to this particular point, more product releases in short term. So you can see initially as an administrator or a lead, I have given only maximum 3 votes while creating, right? So I was able to input 3 votes here. Okay, so generally what happens is based upon the team nature, you will have the number of votes. Say you might have 5 to 10 votes too, depending on the nature of your project and the duration of the retrospection. All right, so here I have given all my 3 votes. So generally what happens is the more votes, the items that get more votes will be at the top of the board. All right, for example, here I have only very less items, but I had 2 votes for this particular, right? So in case if there are many other items which is less than 2, it will come at the bottom. So the items which are receiving more votes will be at the top of the board. Reason is because you will easily pick that up and you will start discussing on that items. So once the voting is done, what you would generally do is people will try to discuss on the top voted items. For example, say estimation means, so let's will a team will discuss around the nature of the estimation that they are following, and what kind of improvements they can make on the estimation, and what is the mistake that they did this time, and what are the suggestions that they are giving to improve it next time. All right, so these kind of things we will discuss in the retrospection and try to bring out a solution out of it. All right, so this is what this vote tab is all about. Finally, you have something called act. Act means action, taking action against your um, particular feedback item. All right, say, all right, now I have discussed what needs to be done for estimation. Right, so I have discussed this pointer, and we are trying to create an obviously when you discuss the problem, you need a solution, right? So the action items will, you need to take an action item. So what you can do is, there you can see there is an option to add work item. So what you can do is, if we have to work on this estimation or rework on the estimation, you can create a work item here. Say you want to create a task, give it a second, it is loading. So you can create any work item that is needed for you, and you can assign it as an action item. Okay, so you can fill in the, say, let's give some random name, improve on estimation. All right, so this is an action item. The action item is now created here, and I have to work on this estimation part as part of this retrospection. Okay, so this is how you can create action items for your create action items for your feedbacks, and you can work upon these action items and discuss on where you are with your action items in the upcoming retrospective meetings. All right, so this is what all these key tabs is all about. Focus mode. Okay, so focus mode is generally, if whenever you are running retrospection, if you put it on focus mode, you will focus on that particular item only. All right, so this is a this is generally used whenever you run retrospective, because people will focus on this particular item only, because the board will look clumsy with lot of items, right? So you will not be clear about what items you are discussing. In order to grab the audience attention, you can go on this focus mode. All right, and what else do we have? And you can see there's something called prime directive. This is more like a thumb rule, where everyone need to understand what's the culture of the retrospective. It's the purpose of prime directive is to assure that retrospective has the right culture to make it a positive and result oriented event. Okay, so it is not being offensive, or whenever we are discussing about what did not go well, things to improve, it's not being meant to be offensive, and it's not pointing at the person. It's all about process. All right, so generally what a scrum master or a project lead who is running the retrospection do is, they will read it out loud. All right, so they will read like, regardless of what we discover, we understand and truly believe that everyone did the best job they could, given what they knew at the time, their skills and abilities, the resources available, and the situation at hand. So this is more like a pledge that you would take before the retrospective. This is something not very important, but on a funnier side, you can see it as a pledge before running the retrospective. And we have something called team assessment. This is very important too, where you can input your feedback based on the few key items, like how is the clarity, how is the energy within the team, how is the psychological safety, work-life balance, confidence, efficiency. So you can rate this here based on where 1 being the lowest and 10 being the highest. All right, so you can, this will be purely anonymous. And finally you can discuss on the items that is working out well. So here it is. So we have given the team's assessment, right? I have to submit, and now we can come here. So you can see there are a lot of items here. We can edit the retrospective board. You can copy retrospective link. So this is something very useful, because you can copy this retrospective link and send it to everyone across your team. Okay, so this is how people generally will edit the retrospective board, and you can export it to a CSV too, and you can create an email summary out of it, something like this, where it will list down all the retrospective summary. Say if you want to send this retrospective summary to all your team members or to some leadership team, you can use this email summary, which is very handy. And then we have something called show retrospective summary. Here it is. So it will show the summary of the retrospection, like who are the participants, and what is the team's assessment look like. So here I am the only person who have given the assessment, so my board is looking like this. Whereas whenever team inputs their team provides their details, this graph will vary, and it will show you a clear view of what are the things that is going well and what are the things that needs to be focused on. All right, so this is how a retrospective summary board will look like. And finally we have something called delete retrospective. So if you want to delete the retrospective board also, you can delete it. All right, and finally you have something called history. Here I have created only one retrospective board, so you have only one here. And whenever you do multiple retrospection, you can see it under this history tab. All right, so this is how generally a retrospective run, guys. Okay, so retrospective are very important for a team to grow and work in a collaborative manner. Okay, so it's, believe me, it's very helpful whenever you interact with your team. Whenever you interact with your team regularly, discussing on the points that are going out well and points that are not going out well, you can definitely see improvements in your upcoming sprints or iterations. Now, practically, if you ask me, I have been part of a lot of retrospective meetings which went really well, and we have seen greater results in our upcoming sprints. Right, so this is more of a culture that needs to be set within your agile teams, and I hope you can make the retrospective meetings very useful for your teams too in the Azure DevOps. So all right, that's all what I want to cover as part of this particular retrospection video. So in case if you have any queries, please post it into the comment section. If you like this video, please subscribe and follow my channel. Thank you.